Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Sandro Forte live stream. As you know, been running a podcast for a number of years, but due to popular demand, people like to hear up close and personal what's going on in the world today with some very special guests. And I've picked one today because he has a really incredible story to tell. Not only that, he's a really, really terrific fella. I've gotten to know him really well because he's my optician. And he is just one of the nicest professional people I've ever had the privilege of meeting. I He would probably chastise me for calling him a friend, but I kind of gotten to know him as a friend. He's a really, really nice guy, and I want you to hear all about him and his story. So without further ado, today it gives me great pleasure to welcome the rather terrific Connor McCann. Connor, welcome to the Sandro Forte Success live stream. And we're going to talk about success because it's difficult to know where to begin, Connor. But let's start, and then everyone will understand exactly what I refer to when I talk about success and philosophical approaches to life and all the other things that are going to come out of this conversation over the next 30 minutes or so. But let's start by you telling us a little bit about yourself. Where did it all begin?
Thank you, Sandro, for that lovely introduction. um, my name is Connor McCann, and I'm a 35-year-old optometrist. Optician optometrist is like potato, potato. What specifically would you want to know about to begin with, Sandro?
Well, okay, so it wouldn't have taken the untrained ear to work out that you come from somewhere in Ireland. So
Yeah.
let's start with Connor's early days growing up in Ireland, and what brought you to the Fair Isle, the Fairer Isle. Don't want to be
Yeah.
too controversial. And then also your education. It takes a pretty smart guy or lady to be an optometrist or optician. Potato, potato. And thanks for clearing that one up for me because I didn't know the difference. Um, that kind of journey from early childhood to the mainland. You ended up in Bristol at
Yep.
Lynn Fernandez Opticians. We'll give them a shout out, and then I became one of your clients, patients, whatever you want to call me. So
Sure.
yeah, just that kind of the early years really. So we know a little bit more about who you are.
Yeah. Uh, the early years of Connor McCann were full of adventurous activities and hiking and I used to work at a I'm from Ireland, as you say, so I'm from Northern Ireland, really kind of a border town called Oma, and yeah, so I was really into outdoor education and outdoor pursuits. So from caving, climbing, um, from anything I could get my hands on, really. And so when it came to decide what to do with my life and all this big decision, I was a bit stumped, really. However, I was considering, maybe a pharmacy or becoming a doctor or optometry. And I kind of I settled for optometry. It's kind of like any, meeny, miny, mo sort of thing. But I was always very, very drawn towards the visual system, and I'd pretty good communication at one stage. We'll get in more into that later on, but I considered myself to be want to have a patient facing role, and I was good with my hands and so on, and I felt that clinical skills would come naturally enough to me. So I kind of just decided, oh, okay, throw my hat into optometry. And I applied to Cardiff University, which is one of at the time, it was the best optometry university. I think a few more have come along since, but yeah, it was it was really, really formative and really, really exciting. good times.
I love the fact that you say eeny, meeny, miny, mo, like you had a plethora of choices. For someone like me, there was only one opportunity, and that was to join a financial services business because there was nothing else I could do. Although I must admit, wanted, I think you and I may have had this conversation, but I wanted to be at various points a surgeon, a GP, a policeman. There were lots of things I wanted to be, but unfortunately, I looked at the O levels and the A levels, and they weren't quite good enough for me to be any of those things. So I didn't get the eeny, meeny, miny, mo choice like you did. So I think one thing we've deduced already is that you were, very hardworking student, got all your grades, and therefore, by definition, you had some choice. So I suppose one of the lessons from that is, work really hard, open up more opportunities. So we meet when you're in Bristol. And you started to tell me it's difficult to know what adjective to use, but like a fascinating story, a sequence of events that were kind of surreal in many ways, difficult to believe. And I still struggle to get my head around them. But let's go back a few years. I think it was 2022, and you had a road traffic accident, right? So tell us about what happened.
Yeah, so I had in December of 2022, I had a road traffic accident, and it involved an electric scooter. So, in Bristol, we have these electric scooters, and if you're brave enough to get on them, you deserve a medal. Brave or stupid enough. However, I was in a rush to get home from work one evening, dark evening, and actually I got on one, and that decision to get on one changed my life forever. It was not very typical for me to actually take this method of transport home. So it's doubly striking, but I think it's changed my life. So I was knocked off said scooter, and by a Land Rover, I think. Which do you drive a Land Rover?
I do, funnily enough. Yeah.
But yeah. So and I managed to roll out of the accident. So I used to do Krav Maga and the Jiu-Jitsu, and I can say that it was all those years of training that enabled me to roll out of it perfectly. But it was purely luck, and I managed to make it to relative safety off the pavement. And I wanted to look back towards the car, the car that had struck me, and I realized that actually I couldn't look back. My body and my kind of my muscles were pulling me in another direction completely, and I felt some warm liquid in my mouth, and it dawned on me that I was having a seizure. So and the next thing I remember that the pavement came up to greet me, and that was I was waking up in the back of an ambulance before I knew it.
Wow. So if we then, what you've just described, when you first told me the story, I'm not going to use the word innocuous, but, things like this happen a lot to the outside world and possibly to you after treatment, which on one hand was successful. And fortunately, you're still with us. So we know you survived the accident. But what happened next? Because you talk about this accident changing your life, the decision to take the scooter home, whereas you wouldn't normally do that. But, there'll be people listening to this, Connor, going, well, I'm not sure how that changes his life. But what happened as a result of your treatment? Because that was the pivotal moment. That was the change of direction in your life and everything that's really happened over the last 3 years.
Yeah, so it all comes down to me having a CT on my head, and subsequently being diagnosed with a primary brain tumor. Specifically, it was found to be what's called an astrocytoma, and I had an astrocytoma grade 2. And there were many brain tumors and all sorts of types, and this was described as a moderately severe one. The worst type, type that you don't want to hear is the glioblastomas. They're grade 4, and sort of they've got a very poor prognosis of less than 12 months very often. But this is an astrocytoma grade 2, which is known as a life-limiting condition. But there are many things that we can do. The modern healthcare system can do to treat.
So when you say life-limiting, typically what kind of things are you now having to deal with that you weren't even contemplating before as a young early 30s healthy male? What if you don't mind sharing, Connor, tell us what some of these challenges are that you face as a result of this diagnosis, which of course, from what you've told me before, it appears had been in situ, if I can use that expression, for many years. It just something that hadn't been picked up. It was the CT scan that revealed something that had been there for a considerable period.
Yeah, that's a good point to make, Sandro. I do not know how many years, but I suspect that it was there from university as well. But it's a good question actually to ask actually. So the first treatment I had was a resection, so a complete what's known as an awake craniotomy, and basically this was suggested because the type of brain tumor or the type of brain tissue that was affected was quite eloquent. So it was close to my speech and language centers in my brain, and so the kind of what am I trying to say? The worst case scenario was that I would wake up and not be able to speak, So the surgeons wanted to operate on it with me awake, and I can go into that if you'd like a little bit more. And then subsequently, I've had radiotherapy to irradiate the area, so 30 days of radio, and then I've had a little bit of chemo as well. So I've kind of progressed. My journey has progressed a little bit.
Well, if everyone listening would indulge me slightly, since I had already mentioned that I wanted to be a surgeon, Connor, at various points, I'm fascinated to know what that experience was like of being on an operating table with your, I don't want to be too graphic about this because it might put people off their dinner. But that experience must have been very odd, very surreal.
Yeah, it was surreal, really, puts it lightly. But I was actually I have the same attitude as you, Sandro. Actually, I was very interested what they were going to do, but they knocked me out completely. And then I was brought back, and I was asked to perform speech and language exercises. So the speech therapist was there, the whole nursing team was there, the 2 surgeons were working away, and I was originally chatting to them about my holiday, and they were telling me about their holidays and so on, and it was surreal. And all the time they were taking a little bit of brain tissue, bit by bit, so that and they were testing me on the usage of verbs. So sometimes and sometimes they would send a shock down my right arm to say, "Oh, can you feel this?" or whatever. So it's surreal was the word I would use.
Well, even though when I first knew you, you had a resplendent head of hair, and that's temporarily gone. You know,
Yep.
you're a very good looking guy. You've got a wonderful personality. You have dealt with some, you know, some real challenges in the last few years, and continue to do so. Um, dare I ask this question? And this is a rhetorical question because I kind of know the answer, but those listening, I'm sure will want to know the answer to the question, which is, what positives does Conor McCann get from this experience? Because many people, not in similar circumstances, but in relative terms, we all face challenges of one kind or another to different degrees. And sometimes it's very hard to find the positives. But from regular trips to the gym, because I know you still look after yourself, and some of the emails and messages we've exchanged, I've found really uplifting and very humbling, because all you talk about is doing things that make you as positive as you can to deal with the challenges that you have faced and that continue to lie ahead. Um, tell us about, if you don't mind, the positives that you have found in this incredible experience.
Wow. So you're right. Actually, there's so many positives that actually have come out of it, and I didn't think there would have been any. However, it's important to say, right after the surgery, they took 70% of it out, and then actually the 30% that they were unable to take out, um, basically because it was because I was having speech disturbances, and they felt it's better to leave well alone, sort of thing, at that age or that stage, and the surgery took about 7 hours in total. So yeah, but I was left with severe, well, I, I would say severe aphasia, and so for um, the people that don't know what aphasia is, it's an inability to speak. In my case, I knew what I wanted to say, but I couldn't actually physically say it. I would like point, and so for the first few months actually were really tough. Actually, I'm getting emotional now as I think about it, because it's I've come a long way, hopefully. But sometimes
You have. You know, just while you gather your thoughts, you have, and you know, although we haven't been in touch like every week or every month, I mean, we have stayed in close contact, and I know for a period of time it was very difficult for you, and you know, I wouldn't say you kind of cut yourself off, but you know, there's a time where you go through this process of reflection and asking yourself, like, how do I get through this? But somehow, you know, you've pulled um, so many great things out of this. I mean, one of them is your wonderful partner. That's one of the positives that I know you speak of, that is so important to you. So I guess to extend that question to you, those positives, personal relationships, the love of the people that mean a lot to you. Uh, I guess maybe if I can phrase this question slightly differently, is in thinking about the positives, what lessons have you learned about yourself and about life that you could maybe share with others that have helped you through this really difficult time?
that is a really good question. Um, what lessons?
Well, you've got, you know, the love of your partner.
Yeah,
We did promise to give her a shout out because
yeah,
she's been your rock, hasn't she, throughout this?
yeah. That's a good point. And you know, when I was recovering from that aphasia, basically I met my partner, and so she was she's from New Hampshire in the United States. So um, all people from New Hampshire, you get a shout out. However, she was wonderful, and um, she just we began dating, and then basically we decided it was I was recovering from surgery, you know, finding my feet, and actually had been maybe it was a 6 month period, 6 month time period, and I decided, what the hell, maybe these connections, these bonds don't come more than once in life. So we traveled around the UK with each other. So I would say that in response to the first question, the love and kind of the love and well, I'm sorry about that.
Support, yeah, the love and support of your network, family, your partner in this particular case, and let's not forget, you know, the wonderful colleagues within the business who have obviously supported through this. So I guess what I'm hearing is having a really close support network, whoever that might be, clearly has been very important to you. I also know that, you know, taking good care of yourself physically has helped you mentally. Would that be fair?
Yeah, that's been a really, really strong passion of mine, and that was always a passion, but I'd fallen in and out of this kind of Sandro. So, but yeah, I didn't it almost gave me permission to have the surgery. It almost gave me permission to actually say, right, you're at rock bottom now. You're the worst I'll ever be. Well, basically the worst fitness I'll ever be. I think it was 90 kilos. For me, I'm 6 foot, and I was carrying a little bit of a weight, and I was like, okay, this is enough's enough. And then I came from there, and it almost gave me an excuse to you know, surrender my like ego, and I just learned, and I got myself a PT for probably maybe 12 months, 12, 14 months, and yeah, I'm now sitting around 75, 74 kilos
of pure muscle.
I was like,
puff your chest out, Connor.
Yeah. But yeah, and I'm also you know, I'm considering becoming a PT on the side, because maybe I've spread my risks, or spread my assets, so to speak, because maybe one day I'll not be able to, you know, communicate as clearly. Maybe one day I'll not want to pursue optometry. It's given me a little bit of new perspectives about what optometry is, and it's just changed my perspective and outlook on life, as you'd imagine.
So what is the, again, if I can ask you this question, what does the next few years look like in terms of your treatment, in terms of prognosis, and, you know, what do you want to do? You mentioned a couple of things that you might want to do for yourself. What does the future look like?
Yeah, it's interesting that you asked, because I've been like really, I've been obsessed with this idea. So the future looks like I'm doing 9 months of chemotherapy currently. So that ends in April 2026. So I'm sort of tied down in Bristol until April 2026. Meanwhile, I'm trying to do something useful with my time. So hence the PT qualification, and the kind of, I've been learning lots of like cancer and nutrition, and how it's a metabolic disease as well, that we don't really fully understand cancer, as you probably know. But yeah, there was one other thing I was going to mention, but I've just slipped my mind now. But yeah, the prognosis. So the prognosis I received, I asked the question of my surgeon, how long, you know, do I have? The question that no doctor wants to hear, but every patient will say. I was told 5 years, but 5 5 years is the median. So basically, I'm a young, healthy man, and so I expect to, live well beyond that, and with a good, positive fighting attitude for a grade 2 astrocytoma. I think I'll be around for a little while yet.
I have absolutely no doubt. And everyone listening to this, even though they don't know you, but I do, I certainly hope and pray that you're around longer than me. I've got a few years head start on you, but the way you're going, you will be around for many, many, many years to come. And I hope that this gives us the chance to spend more time together. I've learned so much from you, Connor, and been so inspired by you. And I know, again, for those listening, this has not been easy for you. Even agreeing to join me and talk about this publicly has not been easy. You've reflected on it for quite a period of time, and then made a decision to do it. And I really am grateful to you, not least because I'm sure there's a degree to which it maybe helps you rationalize things and articulate them as you have done so beautifully. But I think also for those people out there who are experiencing, all kinds of different challenges in life, to hear your philosophical, positive, forward-thinking attitude, where so much introspection has led to so many positive outcomes, is really uplifting. And I hope, and I'm sure, lots of people will take so many positives away from your story and your just raw honesty. It's been really humbling. And going back to what I said right at the beginning, I hope our friendship continues for many years to come. So thank you so much for joining us today, Connor. You've been tremendous. I know it's taken a good degree of bravery to do this, so we really are very grateful. And on behalf of everyone listening, wish you all the very best for the future.
Thank you, Sandro.